Good afternoon, Trinidad and Tobago. I'm Rishi Harinan and C News is live at noon. The woman who was killed in a hit-and-run accident during the early hours of Monday morning has been identified as 26-year-old Natalie Smart. Her semi-nude body was found along Wrightson Road in Port of Spain, near to the Radisson's Hotel at around 4 a.m. The police is calling on anyone with information as to what happened and the whereabouts of the driver to come forward to help in their investigation. Her family is today claiming she was murdered and was thrown out of the vehicle. Now, we will have more on this story in a subsequent newscast. Now, police have arrested 2 men who were found in possession of narcotics, and they also seized a firearm. Reports say during the hours of 2 p.m. and 10 p.m. on Monday, officers from the Central Division arrested 44-year-old Nigel Phillip for possession of marijuana and 22-year-old Shondell Gordon of Mount Cyril Road, Paramin Village, Maraval for cocaine. The officers say they then went to Agostini Road, Maracas, St. Joseph, where a search was carried out in an abandoned bushy area where they found 400 grams of a substance resembling cocaine. No one was arrested. The officers also said, based on information they got, they went to Das Trace Enterprise Shogunas, where they found a black metal object resembling a Beretta 9mm pistol fitted with a magazine loaded with 5 rounds of 9mm ammunition. No one was arrested. A total of 43 stop and search forms were also filled out in the Enterprise area, and several Nissan Tido vehicles were stopped and searched. A 22-year-old man was shot and wounded last evening, reports say at around 8:30. Shafiq Mohammed, a market vendor of number 5 Rig Road, Dow Village, South Oropouche, was walking along School Lane, Enterprise Shogunas towards his uncle when a black car passed alongside him and explosions were heard. Soon after the victim fell to the ground, he was rushed to hospital where he was medically examined and treated. An Enterprise woman has been charged with the murder of another woman. In a statement, the police service said 29-year-old Kida Adha appeared before Shoguna's first court magistrate, Joanne O'Connor, charged with the murder of Pamela Balgobin. Adha was remanded into custody and will reappear in court on December 12, 2016. Mrs. Balgobin's nude body was discovered in a vacant lot with her head bashed in next to her Enterprise home on Wednesday, 9 November 2016. To solve the growing issue of crime in this country, there needs to be a comprehensive understanding by those in authority of what the root of the problem is. That's the view of community activist Pastor Clive Dotton, who says several factors contribute to the recent upsurge in crime.
All you're hearing is just people say we can't cope with the prices, like every day something going up, and people are struggling to make ends meet, and therefore the society is kind of ripe for a certain, implosion or explosion, whatever have you. It seems ripe for that.
He said those in authority must make a conscious effort to change the stigma associated with certain groups of people and give them an equal opportunity to thrive in society. He said this includes supporting the people who are working on the ground.
I humbly submit that sometimes you're in a particular office and you do not know all of this taking place in the ground. We on the ground, we have to help you to appreciate it. We're not judging your motives here. Chief, DK, there are a lot of groups in this society. Genuine, a lot of good work. And when you remove contributions from them, state allocations from them, okay, and you kind of stymie, you paralyze what they're doing, then you exacerbate the problem.
To some other news now, parents of students attending the Montrose Vedic School are calling on the Ministry of Education to relocate their children to the Enrichment Center in Carlsonfield, as they say their lives are being put at risk in the current facility. On Tuesday morning, the parents and children protested outside the school as it has been closed due to a decision taken by teachers not to show up. For the last 2 to 3 years, there have been reports that mites are allegedly biting students and teachers, causing skin allergies and, in some cases, respiratory problems.
We are asking the ministry to relocate the school in the short term until they could solve the problem. They need to identify what is causing the problem in order to solve the problem. As of now, they do not know, and we do not know what is causing it. We are asking for the relocation of the school to the enrichment center. Our children are facing the C exam come May next year. I myself have a son in standard 5. We need to have our children back in a classroom setting in a safe environment.
Mr. Dilchan said students are preparing to write the secondary entrance assessment exams next year and they are not getting the required teaching time.
There have been numerous instances where the Borough Corporation through the Vector unit have come to the school, sprayed the school. Parents and teachers have come out on weekends and sanitize the school. We have done some remedial work to try to clean up the school, but the problem doesn't seem to be, it could be stemming from the environment itself. And the school is somewhat of a host faith. We have 500 and something children at the school, and the experts are telling us that mites will feed in a situation like that.
Now, the Ministry of Education is assuring that an alternative venue is being sought to accommodate staff and students of the Montrose Vedic Primary School. It said its officials are planning a site visit tomorrow. Proposed venue is being made by the PTA, and that is the Enrichment Center in Carlton Field, and the ministry will be looking to ensure that is the facility that the students will be housed. At any point in time, the lifeline between Trinidad and Tobago can be severed, a situation that, if happens, will be catastrophic for the people of Tobago. This, according to the president of the Trinidad and Tobago Chamber of Industry and Commerce in the Tobago Division, Mr. Demi-John Cruikshank, as he weighed in on the crisis regarding the number of ferries available to transport goods between both islands. More in this report from Janine Brown.
Around this time last year, there were 4 sea vessels between Trinidad and Tobago, 2 fast ferries and 2 cargo vessels. That number has now been reduced to only 1 of each. President of the Trinidad and Tobago Chamber of Industry and Commerce in the Tobago Division, Mr. Demi-John Cruikshank, said the issue poses a serious challenge for the people of Tobago and is not only limited to sea vessels.
Right now we only have 1 fast ferry operating between Trinidad and Tobago. So we had a serious issue approximately 2 Sundays ago when all the flights that Carl had between Trinidad and Tobago developed mechanical problems, and we had a serious problem that no aircraft between Trinidad and Tobago flew for approximately 4.5 to 5 hours. So if you want to say business is good in Tobago, it is very, very, very problematic right now.
He said the issue stems from government's refusal to meet the operator's contractual wishes.
What we were informed, the government would have wanted, the operators would have wanted an 18-month contract. Now they are a month-to-month contract. So now at any point in time, the lifeline between Trinidad and Tobago can be severed. The owners can pick up their boat and say, listen, we would like to have our boat. There's no really sustainable contract in place.
He added that the cost of a ferry having to turn back, as was done a couple of weeks ago, comes at quite a high price.
So if you do the math, you have significant losses in terms of value to cargo and value to trade between Trinidad and Tobago.
The TTCIC president said with the Christmas season just around the corner, Tobagonian businessmen are expressing grave concern as the current situation will place a serious damper on their activities. Mr. Cruikshank's comments come on the heels of leader of the Tobago Forwards Party, Chrislyn Moore, calling for the removal of the Tobagonian representatives on the Port Authority Board, Mr. Ken Wright and Miss Melissa Alexis James. This, as she said, the members have failed to use their position to properly represent the needs of the island. Janine Brown, C News.
Thank you very much, Janine. Now for a look at the weather forecast with Ian Wallace.
Some cloudy spells this afternoon will likely usher a couple of showers, particularly across the hills of Trinidad and Tobago, and the couple may turn heavy or thundery with the possibility of street or flash flooding. It will feel humid, nevertheless, at a high of 34 degrees Celsius in Trinidad, 31 degrees Celsius in Tobago. For mariners heading further offshore, definitely look for a slight to moderate chop, up to 2 meters out in the Atlantic, plus to 1.5 through the Caribbean, with easterly swells short at 9 seconds, and northeast to easterly winds light to gentle at 5 to 10 knots. Look for your high tide at 4 and your low tide at 11 p.m. That is the latest weather, and I am meteorologist Ian Wallace. Opposition leader Kamla Prasad-Bissessar is telling citizens not to be fooled by the promises made by the People's National Movement government about plans for making Chaguanas a city and for local government reform. Over the weekend, the Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley said he will be looking to ensure Chaguanas becomes a city before the end of his term in office. However, at a public meeting last night, Mrs. Prasad-Bissessar asked people to pay attention to what is being done before believing what is being said.
Here, where the PNM councils in the Chaguanas borough during our term in office, the PNM and the ILP voted against making Chaguanas a city. Who you fooling again? Who you trying to fool?
Mrs. Prasad Bisesa went on to tell citizens not to trust this government as the promised local government reform may never come.
All the money spent for the consultation, 14 months they could not bring the reform. But guess what? Excitement on the platform. We will bring local government reform. Well, you have not brought it in 14 months when this election done. Believe me, and I'll come back and tell you, I told you so. They will not bring any local government reform. Do not trust the PNM.
The Caribbean Committee Against Sex Crimes is pressing forward with plans for the establishment of a Caribbean sex offenders list. CASC Chairman Jonathan Bagan says the group is determined to bring what legislative change in the Caribbean, which will work alongside the U.S. International Megan's Law to end child sex trafficking.
This has never been done before in human history. Right now, some countries do share sex offender information between agencies, but there is no regional or international sex offenders registry as yet. So we looked at the U.S. International Megan's Law to prevent child sex trafficking that was passed by Barack Obama earlier this year. That law provides for stamping of passports of child sex offenders in the U.S. and basically whenever a child sex offender leaves the U.S. will inform the country that they're going to, especially high-risk offenders.
Mr. Bagan warns that despite Trinidad and Tobago's Sexual Offences Act Chapter 1128 that deals with sex offender registration, there are huge issues with the law.
They are already in Trinidad. Like I actually met one already in Trinidad that he is a registered sex offender in the U.S., raping this child, and there's no policy to track them or prevent them from getting jobs as school teachers. There are cases where a man who was on an offenders registry in the U.S. was a school teacher in a prestigious girls' school, and the girls in the school are the ones who found them out via the internet. Well, we drafted a regional agreement. I've been asking judges and senior lawyers, okay, come and read this, but nobody has made time for it as yet.
The committee will be having an online meeting with senior policy advisors from the U.S. Department of Justice on November 18 from 2 p.m. and he is inviting the public to take part as they move forward to protect the nation against sexual predators. Energy news now, and natural gas supply from Jamaica, Atlantic LNG's decrease in natural gas production and heating Europe in winter, key areas dominating the energy world this morning. Time for sports, and Trinidad and Tobago senior men's football team is in Honduras ahead of this evening's encounter with the Central American nation. The Soca Warriors must reverse Friday night's loss to Costa Rica, where the team suffered 2 late goals, and with 3 teams already on 3 points in the Hex, head coach Stephen Hart wants immediate improvement.
Dynamic. Yeah, we'll need to close down Honduras effectively, but not just close them down, but try to win the ball in crucial areas of the pitch and get on top of them.
There is the Trinidad.
On a related note, Trinidad and Tobago will host the Caribbean's playoff for CONCACAF Gold Cup qualifying from January 4th to 8th, 2017. This was confirmed by the Caribbean Football Union and will see the national senior teams of Haiti and Suriname join Trinidad and Tobago as the 3 second-place teams from the recent Caribbean Cup semi-final qualifying round, with 1 spot available to join the Gold Cup jump-up. Well, that brings us to the end of the C News Report at noon. Remember, you can stay with C News live throughout the afternoon for all your news updates. I'm Rishi Harinanan. Have a good afternoon.